Obviously, today's a very exciting day for Marquette basketball with the signing of Sam Hauser and Brendan Bailey. Both of them are terrific young men from great families who I think have a very bright future and high ceiling as Marquette players. Sam Hauser was one of the kids when I first got the job at Marquette that I identified pretty much right away as a guy that I wanted to coach and wanted to be a part of our Marquette program. I think he's a terrific all-around player. He's been obviously well coached throughout his youth years. He's got a really high basketball IQ, and I think he's one of the best shooters in America. Certainly had an outstanding junior year leading his team to a state championship, and looking forward to cheering him on and supporting him this year. He comes from a great family and with some basketball bloodlines, and he's going to be a terrific addition to our program. Brendan Bailey is actually someone who we started recruiting a little bit later. He had a relationship with Stan Johnson, who replaced Mark Phelps, and through Stan, I really got to know Brendan as a person and a player really well, and I think he's an ideal fit for what we want. He's a great kid from a great family. His best basketball is ahead of him, and he's already a really good player. He's 6'8" now. He's very versatile. Can play both inside and out. He too is a terrific shooter with a high basketball IQ. So, coming off a very big class that we had last year, 5 freshmen, and then the addition of Andrew Rousey as a transfer, to add these two young men to the newest group of players at Marquette is very exciting for us.
When you look at your roster, the majority of your guys, can play multiple positions. How much do you prize versatility when you're looking at potential recruits?
I think the ability to play multiple positions, versatility is the way the game's going. The more that you can do on the floor, I think the more value you add to your team, the more positions you play, the more you can impact the game both inside and out on offense, more positions you can guard on defense. It allows a coach to be more creative on both ends of the floor, and I think with both these kids, they can play multiple positions. I think they're both very good basketball players, and that's what we want to try to bring in. We want to bring in guys who are really good people who want to take advantage of Marquette and have the ability to impact the game in a lot of different ways.
Steve, I know you were at the Kohl Center for some of the state championship games, so I don't know which games specifically you were at, but Germantown was going for history, and what Sam Hauser and Stevens Point did in that game, I mean, I know it's only one game, but did your eyes literally fall out of your head? Because that was a quality team that they just, wow.
Yeah, it was a sensational game, obviously from a team standpoint. But I thought Sam's performance, especially at the start of the game, was one of the best performances that I've seen as somebody who's going to games recruiting. I thought he put his team on his back and really led the charge for Spash. And I when I first saw Sam, I thought, man, this kid can be really, really good. And every time you watch him, for me at least, I got a greater appreciation for how good he could be. And obviously, he saved his best for last in the state championship game.
When you look at a player like Sam, I mean, it's just another one of the Wisconsin players that you've been able to bring in. Do you look at the quality of players that are coming out of the state right now and think, wow, I'm really lucky that we're able to recruit so well in state right now?
Yeah, in a perfect world, that's what we wanted to do. What wanted to do before I ever got the job is really try to make an investment in the state. Wisconsin to me has always been a state that's been underrated from a high school basketball level. Whether we're watching teams on the AAU circuit or you're watching Wisconsin high school teams play, most of these kids are very well coached and very well drilled. And I think there's a thirst for basketball at the youth level in the state, and that coupled with some really talented guys has produced a lot of really good players, and we haven't gotten them all. We're glad we've gotten our fair share of them, but there's been a lot of really good players coming out of the state.
Now that you've gone through a second go-around with recruiting, do you think when you go out and talk to players that your first recruiting class really set a standard for what you want the Marquette brand to be?
Yeah, obviously the first recruiting class is always a big one for a new head coach, and you're putting kind of your fingerprints on what you want the type of kids and the type of players coming into the program to be. And I've said from the very beginning, we want kids of character. We want kids who take advantage of all that Marquette has to offer, both on and off the court. And then we want kids with the talent to help us win big and hang banners. And I really, I really enjoy the people in our program, the new guys in our program, and I can't imagine not loving coaching Sam and Brendan as well.
And with Brendan, it's a unique situation. You're not obviously even legally able to talk about some players that you're going to see 2-3 years down the road most of the time.
Yeah.
Do you approach it any differently when you have a situation like that?
Well, I mean, every kid's situation is unique, and obviously Brendan, has the opportunity to go on a Mormon mission, and that's something that, he and his family, will ultimately decide, and we're supportive of anything that they decide to do. I think Brendan is, as good a player as he is, he's still got a very young body. He's probably got a few more inches in him. Hopefully he gets as tall as his dad. But his best basketball is still ahead of him. And so we, like with all our guys, we take their individual situations into account and try to best position them for success on the court and off the court.
And with his commitment to the mission, to his faith, I assume that's probably something that you guys like to see in a player to have that kind of character too.
Yeah, I mean, he's from a great family. He's got deep-rooted beliefs, and we're supportive of all the beliefs of our guys, and certainly Brendan is no different. But he's a great kid who's going to be a really, really good player.
Now for next year you have 12, 13 scholarships filled. How much do you value the flexibility of having that one open spot?
You'd always, I think, like to keep some flexibility in terms of scholarships, because in today's day and age, college basketball is such a transient society, and having the opportunity at mid-semester, if there's a transfer that makes sense, or late in the spring, if a lot of times with coaching changes, there's a whole new wave of recruiting that if something makes sense, we want to have the ability to investigate it fully and then ultimately decide, is this the right thing for our program right now? So we have a chance to be patient, and while keeping our eyes and ears open and to any possibilities that come in front of us.
And looking ahead to Friday's game, you're coming in with your, as we all know, young team, and you're facing one of the most experienced teams you're going to take on all year. How do you approach that game and a team like Belmont?
Well, Belmont, they are outstandingly coached. They have pretty much their whole team back from an NCAA tournament run where they took Virginia to the wire. They're one of the top, if not the top, shooting teams in the country. They present a lot of different problems. And, for our young guys, I think the focus has to be on us trying to study who Belmont is as best we can. But ultimately, at game time, we have to lay it on the line with great effort and great passion. Between now and Friday, we don't have experience dust where we're just going to rub that over somebody's head and they're going to know what it's like to be a junior player. We're going to have to figure out ways to win, and the best way to do that, in my mind, is to play your butts off every possession, be all in together, and lay it on the line.
Is there anything specifically you saw on Monday that you've been working on in practice to improve before Belmont?
Yeah, we don't have the time to go down the list. We have a lot to improve on. Obviously, Belmont's three-point shooting is unique. I mean, they can shoot it from 4 and at times 5 positions, and they not just shoot it from those positions, they make it from those positions, and that's not something that you see very often. And so the ability to guard the three-point line, is going to be big. Playing without fouling is going to be big. We need our best players on the floor.
When it comes to defending from the three-point line, is it helpful now this year you have those big men that you maybe don't have to move guys around as much as you did?
Yeah, we're hopeful that's a big part of it. We have to be a better defensive team, and I think at times with a young team, the challenge that you run into is communication. I think any of the really good defenses throughout college basketball, most of the time they're the best talking teams too. And a lot of times younger guys, that doesn't come as natural. So we're really trying to get our team to communicate at a high level in the defensive end so we don't give up some of the openings that a team like Belmont makes you pay for.
Steve, I guess, Henry got off to a nice start in the exhibition, 16-7, better than going 3-2 or anything like that. But how do you kind of pump the brakes a little bit and say, okay, there's already talk like, oh my word, he's the second coming or this or that, or look at what he's already doing.
Yeah, for me and for Henry, and talked to him every day, met with him today. His focus is completely on just getting better and putting our team in the best position possible to win. And that's what's, I think, really special about him. I think he can put the blinders on and focus on the task at hand, which is preparing for Belmont. And you let everybody else talk about what you're doing, what you're not doing, where you're going, when you're going, all those kind of things. That's what good teams, good coaches do. You have to block out the noise, and you have to focus on what's in front of you, and what's in front of us is big enough to consume all of our energies.
With the way that your schedule is constructed, Belmont's one of the top 5 or so teams you're going to face before Big East season. How does that add any pressure that you're facing them right off the bat, and that this is one of the few games you're going to have a big resume-making type game?
I think, we don't look at it that way. Obviously, with our group, I think it's better to focus on the present stuff without getting too far ahead to what's going to happen in March. We have a better chance of having good conversation in March if we just focus on the task ahead of us. So we haven't talked too much about the future. We've really talked about, what our jobs are and what we have to do and trying to execute them as best as possible.